Stay safe. From KCRG TV9, this is First Alert Weather Now.
Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday evening edition of First Alert Weather Now. We have been dealing with a pretty decent weather day today, although it certainly was still a little chilly when you factor that wind in, but it's all in the effort to get to warmer temperatures across the area. We'll also take a look at your forecast for fun as well as climate close-up. AJ's got a neat interview with some folks from NASA about how the climate has evolved and how they have been measuring it. But what you need to know as you head out this evening is the chilly temperatures that we're feeling, but the eventually warmer temperatures that we'll be feeling over the next few days. So if you're headed out tonight, you may run into a few flurries, especially in our northeast zone, and some blustery winds eventually later tonight. But overall, it's not a bad night to get out, especially the next couple of days. That will hold true too as our temperatures get back above normal, and pretty significantly so by Friday. But your Friday evening plans, especially if they last later into the night, will notice the change because northwest winds will kick in and some cold air will be on the way. In fact, it looks like the coldest air of the season will be on track for the end of the weekend, the start of next week. Here's a view of satellite and radar. Not all of this is reaching the ground, but the possibility of flurries is here across our northern zones and tracking to the southeast. This will give us the opportunity for very minor impacts, if any. It's more the clouds that you'll notice in many locations. View from our Fayette City Cam, looking for any new snowfall and not seeing a lot there in Fayette County at this hour. Winds are in the range of about 15 to 20 miles per hour in a couple of cases, and temperatures in the 20s. That's making it feel like the low to mid-teens out there. So certainly do want to dress warm if you're headed out. Your evening plan air, though, takes us only into the low 20s for lows overnights. That is a significant difference from last night where many of us were below zero. A big jump already, and that will set up those warmer days for the next couple. Now, we'll have more details on the big cool down that's coming this weekend into next week, but you'll get a little preview of it here in the forecast for fun presented by meteorologist Joe Winters.
A warm-up, as we heard, began today. It continues for the next couple of days. May give you a chance to actually get outside. Now, tonight we do have, of course, that game at Iowa State. The tip-off was at 6, ongoing right now. Weather as people head home from the game, if you have friends, family, or relatives, should be pretty quiet with a partly cloudy sky and temperatures in the 20s. Our ski report has been updated. If you haven't been doing some skiing, you should. The colder temperatures we've seen have allowed them to at least keep snow down. Chestnut Mountain, a base of 32 inches, 36-inch base at Cascade Mountain. Lots of runs open, lots of good skiing to be had across the upper Midwest and including here in the state of Iowa. The Iowa Haunted Corridor, that's a chilling adventure with local author Katie Hopkins. That happens on Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock at the public library. Looks quiet as you go to that event with 36 degrees. The Iowa women's basketball team, they're in town on Thursday as well, taking on Nebraska. Tip-off is at 6 o'clock. It's a black and gold stripe out. I don't think travel will be an issue at all to and from Iowa City. And don't forget, Friday, the Imon Ice Arena is the place to be. Green Bay in town, puck drops at 7:05. It's college cornhole night with temperatures on Friday afternoon getting into the middle 40s. It is a lot of things going on. Of course, it's January, not as many outdoor activities, but when you have that chance to get outdoors, especially the next couple of days, take advantage of it. That's your forecast for fun.
Firefighters say they've been seeing progress in battling large wildfires in the Los Angeles area as winds pick up at times again. Fires have killed at least 25 people, destroyed thousands of homes. There's been little to no growth in the Eaton and Palisades fires in the last 24 hours. Despite the progress, forecasters warn critical weather conditions will continue through tonight. Officials say winds reached up to 40 miles per hour overnight, but that is in contrast to those 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts they saw when the fires broke out.
I urge everyone to stay alert. The combination of low humidity and strong winds has further dried out the brush, increasing the risk of fire. The danger has not yet passed, so please prioritize your safety.
As of today, the Palisades fire has destroyed more than 23,000 acres and is at least 19% contained. The Eaton fire has burned more than 14,000 acres as it at least 45% contained.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Corey Thompson.
Here in eastern Iowa, we're dealing with those chilly temperatures, though today was a little bit of a break. Our highs this afternoon got into the 20s, and so even with a little bit of a breeze out there, it did feel warmer by a measure of some degrees. Now, our wind chills at this hour, as we noted, are in the teens, so it's still chilly out there, but again, we're holding on to the 20s with a little bit of cloud cover up above us, keeping our temperatures from falling all that quickly. Your first alert over the next 24 hours highlights the potential for a little bit of gusty wind as we look ahead. We still have winds that will be above 20 miles per hour after about midnight tonight, and then through the morning hours, even into the early afternoon of your Thursday. So yeah, blustery at times, not extreme, but certainly counteracting some of those warmer temperatures that we're expecting. Here's a view of pinpoint Doppler radar as these snow showers that are trying to fall are moving in. A lot of this is running into some dry air near the surface and evaporating before it makes it, but that possibility is there of some flurries as they move in. So don't be shocked if you see a little bit of that activity within the next hour or two as this slides off to the southeast, associated with a weak frontal boundary that's actually going to shift our winds a bit as we head through the night as well. Now, your first alert forecast tonight: 20 in Waterloo, 22 in Iowa City. Mostly cloudy conditions will be with us for most of the night. With those westerly winds, expect those wind chills to be a little bit colder than the air temperature appears. Pinpoint Futurecast shows the extent of the snow showers here over the course of the next few hours. By 9 o'clock, we should be really much out of the woods in terms of any additional precipitation. Clouds will come and go a bit overnight. We could see some clearing and some cloudier skies at times too, but those stronger winds are going to help keep our temperatures from falling too far. Now, during the day tomorrow, those winds will be from the northwest. So while we were initially several days ago thinking we could get close to 40 tomorrow, I think we're going to fall a little bit short because of that slight influx of cooler air, but it's not drawing from the coldest air possible. And so we're only going to see those highs limited to the mid to upper 30s. Still quite a bit warmer than we've seen so far this week. Tomorrow night, skies will clear temporarily, but then some partly cloudy skies are possible as we head into the night, but southerly winds will kick in, and that will bring in that even warmer set of conditions for Friday. Your first alert forecast for tonight: 35 in Decorah, 36 in Cedar Rapids. Northwest winds, or rather this for tomorrow, northwest winds between 15 to 25 miles per hour. So when you put that back in the wind chill factor, we're talking low teens in the morning, mid 20s by the afternoon. Remember how cold it was this morning with wind chills below zero by a pretty good margin. That is a significant improvement as we go through the day. Now, if you are looking for precipitation basically of any kind, there really isn't any to be had here in eastern Iowa. By Friday night, we'll see rain develop off to our southeast and eventually change to snow, but we miss out. And that lasts through the weekend, even into the early portion of next week as all of these temperature changes take place. And so we are expecting things to remain dry over at least the next 7 days. In fact, our 9-day forecast has little to no action in it in terms of precipitation, at least during the scope of our current 9 days. It's that temperature drop that's going to be the big deal. In fact, temperatures dropping as we go into the day on Sunday. Single digits for highs only on Sunday and Monday. Overnight lows well below zero during that time too. Obviously, climate change has been a big concern for scientists at NASA, and they have been keeping a close eye on it in various ways, and they have some measurements to share. Meteorologist A.J. Rickman had the opportunity to speak with them over the past week or so, and it's this week's Climate Close-Up.
As we head into 2025, let's take a brief pause and look back at 2024. Today, NASA and NOAA released their annual global temperature outlook, and here to tell us about how 2024 temperatures compare to previous years is NOAA climate scientist Tom DiLiberto. Tom, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing pretty well, doing pretty well. Excited that we're starting off a new year and interested to look back and see how 2024 was. So NASA and NOAA just announced the latest global temperature data for 2024. Where does 2024 rank in the climate record?
At the very top, 2024 was the warmest year on record, and that makes 2 consecutive years what we've seen each year. 2023 and 2024 both hold that title of the warmest year on record.
And that is impressive to have that streak going. So scientists now have more data than ever before about our home planet from 2 new satellites that launched in 2024. We have NASA's PACE satellite that's focusing on our oceans and atmosphere, and we have NOAA's most advanced GOES weather satellite. So how do these satellites work together to help us understand our climate and weather?
Sure. Unlike, let's say, a weather station on land or a buoy, the benefit that satellites have is that they can monitor pretty much the entire planet all the time. So by by being able to have these satellites up in space monitoring the environment and our planet, it allows us to basically be able to tell whether things are strange are happening or new information that we can use to get a better understanding of how our planet is working. These tools are incredibly useful for telling us things that we simply just can't see on the ground here on Earth.
And it is awesome to have that extra perspective and that extra vantage point where we can get that extra data. So speaking of things related to that, how do you take the temperature of the Earth and then how do you monitor climate over such a large scale?
Right. So the global temperature data sets that we're talking about, where 2024 was the warmest year on record, are created using land-based stations. Where think of a weather station and thermometers located across the entire planet. It's global cooperation among all these countries to measure temperatures and then send it to folks who can all use that to get a better sense of what temperatures on Earth. But then we also have ocean-based data sets that include buoys and ships. We can combine all of that information and kind of stitch it together and to create these global data sets. But there's no one right way of doing so. So there are places like NOAA that has their own data set, and NASA has their own data set, and other places across the world. And the key thing there is that all of those different data sets done independently are all telling the same story, that 2024 was incredibly warm and that we have a warming trend over the last 50, 60 years.
And that is impressive when all of those things come together and can tell that very consistent story over such a large scale. So speaking of those warming trends, what do we expect to see in the future in terms of heat and these global events?
It's a great question. So to put things into perspective, the 10 warmest years on record are the last 10 years. So we can expect this warming trend to continue, and this warming trend is occurring due to our human emissions of greenhouse gases. It's climate change. So as long as we keep emitting greenhouse gases, we can expect over the long term for that trend of warming to continue. Now, that doesn't mean that every single year is going to be the warmest year on record, but it's clear if you take a look at decade by decade, the next decade is always going to be warmer than the previous, just like the 2010s was warmer than the 2000s, and the 2020s are well on their way to being warmer than the 2010s.
And of course, that is something that we'll have to be prepared for as a society going forward, both in the short and long term. And we're just about out of time, but if viewers want to learn more, where can they go for more information?
There, you can go to NOAA.gov or NOAA.gov to get a bunch of new information about what exactly is happening on our planet, or you can go to NASA.gov/Earth as well to get all the latest information on what is happening across our planet and learn a little bit something on the way.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great. Well, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today and share all of this information about things with 2024 and where we're headed from here.
Thanks for having me.
Where we're headed over the next few days is warmer. We'll see our highs get up to the 30s tomorrow, 40s on Friday. Now, winds will be still fairly present on both days, so you will feel that, and that will cut into some of that warmth. But with at least some sunshine, especially on Friday, it probably will still feel pretty nice, especially compared to what we've experienced all of this calendar year so far. Friday will be the warmest of 2025 to date. That cold front moving through Friday night into Saturday still does give us that sharp drop in temperatures, a pretty cold air mass, in fact, one that would be responsible for near record temperatures if we had a deep snowpack around. It will be in place by Monday. Because we don't have that deep snowpack on the ground, we're going to be saved. You would probably chop off another 10 to 15 degrees of the temperatures that we have plotted here if that was present. The good news is that it isn't if you are not a big fan of cold weather, but despite that, those wind chills will still be quite a bit below zero. We're talking toward the range of 15 to 25 below zero both Monday and Tuesday morning, so you certainly will need to make plans to bundle up. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of disruption to the school schedule. Of course, many schools already off Monday for the holiday. We'll just have to keep you informed as we get closer. Now, next week, we will see warmer temperatures turn us back toward just slightly above normal readings by Thursday and Friday next week. We'll have to see where it goes from there after a pretty big amount of whiplash over the next several days. And of course, we'll track it each and every day here on First Alert Weather Now. Thank you for joining us tonight. Back here tomorrow night at the same time. Have a great night.